Hello and welcome to my farmhouse framing tutorial. Thanks for joining me. I am Dawn from Sign Parties 101. If you notice, I'm not holding my phone, which means, and neither is a kid, I finally got one of those little tripod thingies. So a couple of people saw that on my last post, so I'm super excited. But the one thing that I realized was I don't have a microphone. So let me know if you can hear me okay, or if I should talk louder. That is the next thing I will be getting, so I don't have to shout into my phone. So if you're joining us, let me know if you can hear me. So the couple things I want to mention quick, the Create conference. I am so excited. There are some people signed up already. We are getting planning underway. It's going to be held at the end of April 24th to the 26th at the Radisson Blu, which is connected to the Mall of America. And so we are just going to have a weekend of fun and some training and just hanging out and getting to know each other. So, hey April, thanks for joining us. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't. And then also my Sign Party Central closed Facebook group that I'm starting January 1st is going to be amazing. I am planning that. I want to be able to give you guys tutorials and designs and plans and step-by-step instructions so you can literally go on there, grab the design, grab marketing material, market that sign, have a little public party. I walk you through everything that you need. You have the commercial license to do the sign, and I'm just super excited about it. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you get on the wait list if you have not already. Hey, Renee, can you guys hear me okay? I said before I don't have a microphone yet, so that was the next thing I needed to do is get a mic. So we're gonna just do farmhouse framing today. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can do the mitered corners, you can do the farmhouse. I like the farmhouse because you don't have to be as precise as if you were to miter it together. So yes, it will be exciting. So I'm just gonna do the farmhouse. It actually is really easy once you kind of get the hang of it and you know what you're doing. So I'm just gonna show you quickly how I do it, and then you can kind of go from there. And I just realized that every time I come on here, it seems like every time, I'm always in like my shop clothes. So you'll have to apologize because I have like a handful of clothes that I always wear out in my shop, and it's hard to like get all dressed up and look nice when you're working with wood every day. So, hi Leslie. And so, okay, so what I did was I took a square board. Now this is just painted, it's just a 1x12 pine, and I painted it with a foam roller to do my base coat. And I like doing that before the frame goes on, so then you don't have to mask the frame and kind of work around that. So that's what I'm going to be working with. And then to make things, you know, go a little bit faster and you don't have to actually watch me cut the wood, I cut my pieces to size and stained them. So this is stained a dark walnut color, and I just cut them to size. So now I'm just going to show you how I figured out how to cut them and then how I attach them on. So what I like to do is I like to do the bottom and the top first. Now you can do the sides first or whatever, totally doesn't matter, but I like doing the top and bottom. So when I cut it, and reminder to those who don't know me well is me and precision do not get along very well. So I always like just kind of eyeball stuff. So I'm never like super particular. That's why I love rustic and I take like my sander to everything. So what I do when I have, these are just 1x2s. You can use furring strips if you're going for like a more rustic look, or some places sell really nice 1x2s with a really square edge. Those are a little bit more expensive, but they're smooth, they're easy to stain, and they look really nice, especially if you're doing like a custom or you want kind of a higher price point sign. Then I would use the really nice 1x2s. These are more like the furring strips. They're actually pretty nice. So this is kind of, I get it from my local lumber company. So they don't have like a certain type I get. This is just what I order and this is what they give me. So the quality is kind of between a furring strip and the really nice one. So I take like my long piece. So this comes in 8-foot long pieces. And what I do is I line it up with the bottom of my board like this. I make one side perfectly straight up with the other, and then I just take my fingernail on this side and I make a little mark at the very end of the board, and then that mark is on my wood, and then I go over to my saw and I cut it. Now if you don't like that, I don't even have a tape measure on here. You by all means can take a tape measure and measure your board and then go and measure the piece of wood. Again, I don't do that because it's another step and I got a lot of stuff going on during the days. So I just use my fingernail and it works just as fine, and it removes a step, and I don't like doing math, and so it just eliminates all that. So I just mark it with my fingernail like that, and then I go cut it. Now most of the time your board, especially if you're doing a square, it's gonna be the same on this side as it is on this side. And so once I have my piece cut, then I just set this on top. It's not gonna be stained, but my cut piece on top of my long piece, line up the edge, put it underneath my saw, put my blade right here, and then move this top piece, and then I cut. So then they're gonna be two of the exact same sizes. So that's what I did for my top and my bottom. So all I'm gonna do is decide which side I want against my board. You know, sometimes if a board's got a little nick in it or something like that, I'll put that on the back. And so you just line it up. And then what I like to do on the first piece is I bring it to the edge of my table. And then I take my nail gun. You can use, I'll read the questions at the end. I can't read them this far away. You can use glue if you want. I'm just gonna skip that step. But you can use glue, just you don't use too much because you don't want it like oozing out. So I'm just gonna place it, and I use my fingers to make sure it's flush on both sides. And then I take my nail gun, which this little guy is, I love him. I have 4 of him. And it's a battery operated nail gun. So if you don't have one of these, I will link it to the bottom, and you can go purchase one. It's like the best thing ever. So you don't need a air compressor. It's not as loud or as powerful as a air compressor one, so it's really good to take at parties. People aren't intimidated by these like they would be with a regular nailer. So I'm just going to hold it down and then take my nail gun and line it up. And one thing that you want to make sure is that you're holding it straight, because if you hold your nail gun tilted this way, you're gonna get a nail that comes up through the front. And same thing, if you're tilting it down, you're gonna get a nail that comes through the bottom, okay? Sometimes that happens anyway, even if you are holding it straight, because if there's a knot in the wood, that'll force the nail to go whatever way it feels like it. So the first nail, I just push in, and that's all there is to it. So now this one is stuck on this side, so now I'm gonna go put another one on this corner. And then that piece is secured. So once that's secured, then I flip it around and do the other side. Although, I will come back and add more nails too. I don't just leave 2 in. So sometimes I like to keep it on the edge of my table because that's how I like to do it. You could tip it up, and now that it can stand by itself, or kind of, with that, you can hold it up like this and then nail it if you feel like that's gonna give you better control. So I'm just gonna make sure that's the piece that I want. So I'll do it that way just to show you. So again, I just line it up. Make sure it's even with the back. Now some people like to do it, I like to do it where your sign is set in the frame. Some people like to do it where their sign is flush with the frame. So it would be like that, where you don't have a lip at all in the front, and you create kind of a box in the back. Sometimes that's good if you want to use this box in the back to hang, or to hide if you are doing lights or something like that, and you want to create the box in the back. I prefer the look of the box in the front, so that's the way I'm going to do it. So again, just line it up, hold it straight up and down, and nail. So I'm gonna go both sides, and then now these are done. So now, once you have those done, what I like to do, sometimes I'll do it where I'll get these done and then I'll go cut my other ones. But if you're cutting them all at the same time like I did before I nail these on, I will just set them against the sign and then take my longer piece and measure from this end to this end and mark it with my finger and then go cut it. But just remember, not all 4 are going to be the same size. 2 are going to be the same size, and then the other 2 are going to be a little bit longer because you're taking into consideration these boards already on there. So then I turn my sign and I do the exact same thing. So again, if it's easier for you, you can stand it up and line it up like that. Hold it down and then nail it. Again, I'll do 1 on each side. And then when I'm all finished, I'll go back and connect them all together or put in more nails. So you want to lay it. Make sure that, again, if you have a board that's, you know, got funky colors or something that you want to hide, just make sure that's facing the back. Line it up straight. And then, again, you can use wood glue if you want. I'm not going to. And I think I'm out of nails. Let me try it once more. Actually, it stuck. So if you give me 1 second, I'm gonna run and get my other one. Actually, I have one right here. Okay, so if you don't have one of these, I will show you. First off, the battery just comes out at the bottom like this, and then just put it in like that, and she's ready to go. And then this is how it slides open. The nails go in there, slide it closed, and voila, perfect. So I'm gonna try this again. And it doesn't happen very often that it gets stuck. It is kind of funny that it did that while I'm on a live because it rarely happens. So there. So now it is all secured together. And then what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll put more nails along the side. I just won't do it right now because you don't need to listen to me nail. So there's your frame. So that's what it looks like in the front and then in the back. So that's it. That's farmhouse framing. Super, super easy. I'm going to have to post a picture of the sign I'm doing. So this is one that I'm getting ready for the Sign Party Central group, and it is going to be adorable. Looks like that. I designed it, and so you guys will have, for those of you that joined the Sign Party Central group, you'll have rights to use this. I will give you a step-by-step of how you want to do it. If you want to do a planked sign, if you want to do a frame sign, supply list, everything you need to just grab that and go. I'll have pre-made flyers that you can use as your marketing tools. I mean, all sorts of stuff. So super excited about that. The other thing I was going to ask you guys, just for some opinions, I created one of those little sleds. So I was just out here earlier and I wanted to make one and I didn't find any plans or anything that I liked. And so I came up with this little guy. And I was going to ask you, what color do you think I should do it? I was kind of thinking buffalo plaid because that's kind of my thing right now. But I thought maybe doing something else, like some sort of, I don't know, color or rustic-y or black or I don't know. So I was like, maybe I'll ask them and see what they think. So this was, this is another thing that I'm going to have ready for the Sign Party Central group. And then I'll get a stencil for that, and people can personalize that top with their name and then do the stencil on the front. And so I'm super excited. That's going to be another amazing thing. Okay, let me go and just check these questions really fast. Make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, good, you could hear me. That was good. Okay. Is the Ryobi nailer louder? No. I mean, it's not, you heard it. It's got a noise to it, but the fact it's quick, so it's not like you're pounding nails. So, yeah, there's a noise, but it's not bad, and it's just quick, you know, it's fast, so somebody can use it and be done with it really quick. And we use it in public venues all the time, restaurants and bars, and yeah, it's not a problem at all. Thank you. Now to get yeah, well, just start doing stuff around the house, and he'll just, you know, don't ask him to like hang your stuff anymore, just do it yourself, and then he'll be like, wow, she can actually use the tools. This is actually known, it's funny because my husband used to have all his stuff out here in the shop, and then it has just turned into it's my shop, and he has to find, there's no room for his stuff. Even the kids call it like, oh, it's in mom's shop or whatever. So it's kind of funny. I never thought that would be, I would have a shop, believe me. I use 1 inch and 1/8. I started out, this was another thing I learned as I went. I started out with 1 1/4 inches, and I had one side the nails go through the front. So that only happened one time, but it made me realize that I probably could go a little bit less. So I use 1 inch and 1/8 just to make sure that it doesn't go through the front, but it's long enough to keep the two 1-bys together. Okay, thank you. Ashley, the Sign Party Center group, that is, I just have a wait list right now. I'm opening up January 1st. It is going to be a paid membership. I'm starting it at just $19 a month. And if you put your name on the wait list, if you go to signparties101.com and click on Sign Party Central, just put in your name and email address, and then I'll send an email out and let everybody know when it's going to open to make sure that you get in right away. Because then I'm only going to do it month by month. So like the stuff that I share in January, like the designs and the step-by-step and the supply list and stuff for those particular designs, they won't be available in February. I'll remove them, and then February we'll get a new batch, and it's going to be so much fun. What sizes are the nail guns? I don't know if I know your question. They're this big. Oh, they're 18 gauge. Is that what you're meaning? They're 18 gauge. Which I feel like is totally fine for what I need it for. You get kind of here. As far as like the finish on the nails, if you can kind of see, so that's what it's gonna look like when it hits your board. So they're not like super tiny like a finish nail, you know, they're just a normal brad nail, but I don't mind it because I think it looks kind of cool when you can see the nails. So, yes, Carol, buffalo plaid, black and white for the sled. I like that. That's definitely gone through my mind. I use a Ryobi batteries, Denise. Yeah, it is sort of heavy, but we have people everywhere from like young to old use this, and if they don't want to hold it or if they're not comfortable using it, you know, we more than, it's totally fine to, you know, we tell them like we can use it, we can do it for you. Some people, yeah, are like, wow, that's heavy, but I don't know, you get used to it, and I can just, yeah, you just get used to it. But it is the Ryobi batteries. But I just still think it's way better than having a air compressor. Linda, it is pine. I just use pine right now for my parties. I think it's way easier to frame pine or a 1x than it is to frame like a plywood. Now I do that for if I'm doing a really big sign for a custom, but at parties, I do not want to have to frame on the edge like this plywood because you're a lot more likely to go through the front or through the back. So I just don't do that at parties because we have a system and we have a process and we can be in and out in 2 hours, and my instructors know exactly kind of what the drill is, and I don't want to put that pressure on them to nail in like a 1/4 inch plywood. So I really like just sticking with the pine. Now there is a way, if you do plywood and don't want to frame on the edge, you can actually put the frame on the front, which I think is cool. So let's say this was your frame and this was just, I'm trying to think if I have a piece. Yeah, I don't have a small piece by me. Oh, wait a second. Well, okay, just pretend this is plywood. It's not, it's pine, but just pretend this is plywood. What I would do is take the frame and just lay it on the edge of the board like this, and then frame it on like that. Now your side is gonna be, you know, a little bit taller, but that's okay. You can paint it or stain it the same color. So you can frame it like this and then just nail down like that, and then do the same thing, you know, across the top like that. And that way you don't have to nail right on the edge, because the edge of the plywood, it is hard to get it straight in. You have to nail straight or it's gonna pop out the front and the back. And I don't wanna wreck anybody's sign at a party. So, pine, that is battery. Yes, these are all battery powered. Oh, I've skipped my question twice. Okay, hang on. The pine. I use pine for the, this is 1x2s. I mentioned that at the beginning. These are 1x2s pine wood that I use for the frame. Is that the question that you're asking? I didn't mean to skip you. Did she say to... I don't know what you mean by that first question. I don't make any slits in the wood. I just cut it the size of the edge of the board and then nail it on the back or on the side. These are all 1x's. So 1x2, and this sign in particular is a 1x12. So the actual size, this is 3/4 of an inch thick. This is 3/4 of an inch thick and 11 1/4 wide. Because I don't know why they call it 1x12, but it's 11 1/4. So that's the farmhouse frame tutorial. So next up, I am, because I almost got the same amount of people saying that they wanted the baby wipe technique. So that's going to be my next one. I was thinking, depending on what I paint that sled, I might do that on there, but super, super simple. And you guys are going to love it because it's going to give you that stained look with no matter what color paint you use. So that is that. Again, if you're watching the replay or have questions, just comment below and I'll be able to see them as they come up. If you tag me in it, it'll make sure it notifies me. But yeah, I know, Nick. I don't know. It's just weird how they do that or why they do that. But anyways, so hopefully that helped you guys a little bit. Again, it's just super easy and I love it because I just love the farmhouse framed look. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.